The story of Cain and Abel is one of the most enduring tales in human history. It has been passed down through generations, capturing the imagination and moral contemplation of countless people. It tells of the first murder and the deep-seated consequences of sibling rivalry. This narrative is not just a story of violence, but also a profound lesson on human emotions and divine justice. Cain and Abel were the sons of Adam and Eve, the first humans created by God. They grew up in a world that was still new and untainted by the complexities of modern life. Cain, the elder brother, was a farmer, while Abel, the younger, was a shepherd. Their roles were distinct, yet both were crucial for their family's survival. The Bible tells us very little about their lives before the fateful day when their rivalry turned deadly. However, we can imagine that they lived a simple, pastoral life, working hard to please their parents and their God. We know that they were both expected to offer sacrifices to God as a sign of their devotion. These offerings were a way to show gratitude and seek favor from the divine. However, God favored Abel's offering of a lamb over Cain's offering of crops. This preference was not just about the offerings, but also about the sincerity and faith behind them. This seemingly small detail had enormous consequences. It ignited a spark of jealousy and resentment in Cain, feelings that festered and grew uncontrollably. Cain, consumed by jealousy and anger, murdered his brother in cold blood. This act was not just a crime against Abel, but a defiance of divine order and morality. This act of violence had far-reaching implications, not only for Cain and his family, but for all of humanity. It marked the beginning of a long history of human conflict and the struggle between good and evil. The Bible tells us that Adam and his immediate descendants lived extraordinarily long lives, far beyond what we consider possible today. Adam lived for 930 years, an age that seems almost mythical in our modern understanding of human biology, while his son Seth lived for 912 years. These extended lifespans were not unique to Adam and Seth alone. Methuselah, a descendant of Seth, is said to have lived for 969 years, making him the oldest person mentioned in the Bible. His age has become synonymous with longevity. These lifespans may seem fantastical to modern readers, but they were not uncommon in ancient Near Eastern literature. Such texts often recorded ages that defy our current understanding. For example, the Sumerian king list, a text dating back to the early 2nd millennium BCE, lists kings who reigned for tens of thousands of years. These records suggest a different perception of time and human capability. It is likely that these long lifespans are meant to convey a sense of the importance and authority of these early figures. They were seen as larger-than-life characters, whose extended years symbolized their wisdom and leadership. The story of Cain and Abel is a stark reminder of the destructive power of jealousy and anger. It is one of the earliest tales in the Bible that highlights the consequences of letting negative emotions take control. Cain's jealousy of his brother led him to commit the ultimate crime, the first murder recorded in human history, and his punishment was severe. The weight of his actions bore heavily on him, filling him with regret and sorrow. God cursed Cain, condemning him to a life of wandering and hardship. This divine judgment was not just a punishment, but also a lesson for humanity. Cain was forced to leave his home and family, a painful separation that underscored the gravity of his crime, and he settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. This desolate place became his new home, far from the comforts he once knew. The name Nod means wandering in Hebrew, a fitting name for Cain's new home. It symbolizes his eternal state of restlessness and exile. Cain's story serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of controlling our emotions. It reminds us that unchecked feelings can lead to irreversible actions, and the devastating consequences of unchecked rage. The tale of Cain and Abel continues to resonate, teaching us about the perils of envy and the value of self-control. Despite his exile, Cain was able to build a new life for himself in Nod. He married, had children, and even founded a city which he named after his son Enoch. Cain's story is a reminder that even in the face of adversity, humans have an extraordinary capacity for resilience and adaptation. Cain's descendants went on to develop various skills and crafts. They were farmers, musicians, and metalworkers, contributing to the growth of civilization. Ironically, Cain, the first murderer, became the ancestor of a thriving community, highlighting the complex and often contradictory nature of human history. The Bible mentions the existence of giants known as Nephilim, who were said to have lived both before and after the flood. Some scholars believe that the Nephilim were the offspring of fallen angels and human women, as mentioned in the book of Genesis. The presence of the Nephilim adds another layer of complexity to the biblical narrative. Their origins and their role in human history remain a subject of debate and speculation. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for part 2.